say, you do videos all the time. You are always being interviewed for your marketing.
Like videos.
You do like video,
I do.
obviously, because it's your like one of your bigger tenets, at least within your
It is.
marketing bucket.
It is.
Why did you get into why did you get into video?
So I was in my second year in real estate, and my first year I did pretty well. My second year, the first half was good, and then I started to feel this lull, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do to connect with more people and reach more people? And I remember hearing somebody say, you can't be a secret agent. And I think that's really hard when you're new in a career because you may not have the confidence to like put yourself out there and to say, hey, everybody, guess what? I could help you with your home needs, with your real estate needs, right? So but I was struggling a little bit with that. And I had been to a Century 21 Redwood business planning. Tom Ferry was actually leading it. And so this is now 6 years ago, and he's talking about video, you got to do video. And so I was at dinner at Cooper's Hawk in Ashburn with I don't even know if I was engaged at the time, my boyfriend, who's now my husband, but Mark. And I was telling him that everyone kept saying, you got to do video. And I was like, but I'm not even sure what I'm going to talk about. And we got in this conversation about how Loudoun County, or Ashburn actually specifically, had just been voted the number 2 or number 1 best place to live in the United States. Yeah. And I was like, well, of course it is. And I started talking about all the reasons that I love living in Loudoun County.
He said, and that's your channel.
Yes. And then that's my channel. Why I love living in Loudoun County. So that was it. So literally Mark goes, okay, well, stand up. And I go, right here on this patio with all these people? And he's like, yeah, just stand up and talk about it. So I did. And I think once I did the first one, I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Okay, I could do this. And so I really made that the focus of my video series is, why I love living here.
How did you stay consistent? Is he your cameraman?
He is my cameraman. I do. I have a built-in cameraman. He's now my husband, so now it's part of the responsibility. How do I stay consistent? I can say that is probably, I think, one of the harder things probably with any business is, right, when you find something that works, how do you make sure that you are motivated to get up and do it every day or every week or whatever that looks like? And I used to do it. Wednesday was always Wednesday date night. So it was the one night I didn't have my kids during the week. And so Mark and I would always go on a date. So every Wednesday we would pick a new place to go on date night and we would shoot a video.
Quick question. It is now a tax write-off because it is marketing, yeah?
Yes. I keep every receipt.
How to
make date night to a tax write-off along with my nails and everything else. Yes, no, you're right. So we did that and then we do it on Saturday. So it used to be sort of this, we would purposely pick a place to go to, and when we were there, we would do a video. Yeah. That has morphed over time and completely changed. And so now we'll go out and batch them and we'll go record 5. And if you look in, the back of my car, I have 5 different tops or 5 different sweaters, whatever that I'm going to put on, right? I've sort of identified where we're going to go. And so because of that, it's now sort of easier to stay consistent.
Now you're doing your own editing? Are you outsourcing that? How are you? Because that's, it's fun to film. But it's
a lot of time to edit, right? So, so I not only have a built-in videographer, I have a built-in editor. So Mark also
pulling his weight.
Edits. He does. And we have sent it out every once in a while, and then he's like
disappointed by the results.
I think for him, it's like his creative outlet. Yeah. So he can sort of have fun with it, which is why he does it. But then we've also added on. So we now have a second video series called Coffee with Kelly. Oh, and the reason for that was I realized that, focusing on why I love living in Loudoun County is important because when you buy a home, you don't just buy the home, you also buy all the things that go along with it, right? So the people, the schools, the shops, the amenities, the activities, all those things. And that's a really important aspect. But that people also have, when they're in the process, really real estate specific questions. Yes. And so I try to sort of batch that all together into this Coffee with Kelly. I'm sitting in my kitchen, literally with my cup of coffee, and I answer different real estate questions that have come in. And so that's been sort of fun to add into the mix also.
I love that. So consistency is something you've got under wraps because you've got your built-in man.
I do. It does make it easier.
How are you going to stay, and maybe you're not going to change things up to stay on top? Would you, like, do you see the next 5 years as, no, I think the way to win this game is to stay consistent doing what I'm already doing? Or are you of the mindset of like, I've got to reinvent myself in order to keep views and engagement? How do you
So
approach it?
I think it's sort of a little bit of both. I'm going to stay consistent with those two topics. I also, of course, add in listing videos and things specific to houses, right?
Yeah.
But I think that the form of video has changed, and that's where I feel like I have to be flexible and I have to be reactive to the marketplace and what people's attention span are and how much they're willing to watch, right? So when I first started, my videos maybe were a minute and a half or 2 minutes. I now keep trying to make them shorter and shorter and shorter. And now they're not horizontal, now they're vertical. And right, like I'm constantly trying to adapt to whatever that new format is. And trying to stay current with, what kind of captions and what kind of graphics do you put in, and like the hook and right now I'm on like, oh, ChatGPT, can you give me a couple hooks?
I was about to say, how are you integrating ChatGPT into your workflow?
So in two ways. One would be with videos is really just for that. Like, can you give me some hooks? And I can even give them a topic so know what I'm going to talk about. But I realize if I don't capture people in the first 5 seconds, they've already scrolled way past me. So I have been using it for that. And then actually with writing descriptions about properties, I still write my property descriptions, but I will then take that and ask ChatGPT to make it smaller and more condensed so I can put it on my brochures. And that used to be really hard for me. Which is sort of ironic because I think when I was growing up, if like a teacher said you had to write a 5-page paper, mine was 3. I always felt like there was a quicker, more efficient way to put it. But when it comes to talking about a property and then taking something that, is this long and making it like this, I've struggled with it. So that's made it so much easier.
I know, and it takes like an hour-long task into like a 45-second task. Because a lot of it is...
It's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing, and a lot of those old tasks were just like energy-sucking tasks that didn't need to take all that energy.
Yes.
So as much as I hate AI, I love AI as well.
I totally agree. There's a part of it that really scares me. And then there's a part of it where I go, oh, this is the most wonderful thing that has ever arrived, right? Exactly. It's funny. We always joke about creating like an avatar of me so that it could then do my videos. But
right now, you've seen them, right?
I have.
I personally, how do you feel about it before I speak?
So I think for me, because I actually genuinely love doing video and I love connecting with people, and I don't know if that same level of connection will be there, I probably look at that and go, yeah, that's not going to be for me, right? But there are a lot of people who don't feel that way, and it may be a way for them to start in the video world. I think I need to kind of watch it for a while, see if other people do it, and see how it's received.
Yeah, that's a good way to approach
How about
things. I'm just against it. For me, I think it depends on what your brand is about. If you want to just be a talking head, it doesn't even have to be your head. You could get anybody else to do it. It doesn't have to be you. For me personally, if it's a representation of me, I want to make sure those words came out of my mouth. I don't want to create the ability for anybody to create words that I don't believe or I didn't say to come out of my mouth.
I agree with you. And there's emotion behind when you talk. I mean, this is part of the reason that although it's so easy to text somebody or send an email, right?
Pick up the phone.
When you pick up the phone. I mean, I had a situation even today with a client where we were talking back and forth as a listing, and we had an offer that's a little bit below our asking price, right? And she was just adamant that, no, I'm sticking with my list price. And we were emailing and sharing statistics and all this sort of data back and forth. And I thought, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So I picked up the phone. We had the best conversation this morning. We came to an agreement on how we were going to move forward. And so there's something about that communication that takes place when it is you and it's your words and it's your emotion that can't be replaced by technology.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm intrigued.
Said it very eloquently.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by it.
But and it's probably going to get. I'm sure it's going to keep getting better and better. But right now, you can tell that even if it sounds like the person, it still doesn't really sound as authentic as
No, right.
It's
Yeah,
like
and their
the
face
way that
isn't
you
going to
talk.
move the same way, and
Yeah, and the way
yeah,
like you talk, you slow down. Yeah, I'll coach people through like if they have to read from a teleprompter, I'll coach people through how to read from a teleprompter because you can be a human reading from something and still sound like a robot
you're
if
right.
you're not
Yes,
pausing, talking really fast through certain parts,
yes,
and then yeah,
yeah, you're right.
it's fun.
You're right. It is fun.
um, so in terms of looking into the future, not just for videos, but just overall for real estate, I know we're in the Northern Virginia market, but where are you seeing things headed over the next year, 5 years? Take out that crystal ball and tell me what Kelly sees.
It's funny because I think that I always joke and I say if I had that crystal ball, I would be on a beach of my own private island with my feet in the sand, drinking my cocktail with the umbrella, right? Because real estate is one of those used to feel very predictable. Now all of a sudden feels very unpredictable. And I think ever since COVID, I think COVID took a lot of us by surprise, right? We had a moment of panic of, oh my gosh, this is it. Like we're done for the next however long this is going to carry on. We're not going to be able to be with people face to face. We're not going to be able to be in other people's homes. We're going to have to be doing everything remote. And then that very quickly changed
To, oh my gosh, this is
to,
it.
oh my gosh, I can't believe the business, right? I mean, no, it did. Like it took on this, and then to where you almost couldn't even catch your breath. And I remember thinking that I was so grateful that my husband was working from home because the kids are home every day, right? Doing online school. And as a real estate agent, you weren't home at all during COVID. I mean, it really was sort of a crazy pace. So when you look at that and you say, never expected that, right? And I think what's been happening recently with the interest rates increasing, and I always tell my lender friends, I'm like, oh, I hope you save some money from all those refis because it's not just all the people that bought houses in the past 3 years, right? It's all the refis that took place in the past 3 years. So you have so much of the population sitting on a very low interest rate and nervous about giving that up, even if they've outgrown their space and they need more space, or even if their space is way too big and they need to downsize, they're afraid to let go of that interest rate, right? So I think we are feeling sort of locked right now. And there are still houses selling and there are still people, buying, right? But it's a much, much slower pace. And then really unfortunate, sad things happen in the world, and you never know how that's going to impact
I was going to
what's
say,
happening.
I know just even recently, just listening to conversations of people that I know, I'm like, hey, so how's the house, hunting going? And they're like, oh, no, I'm putting a pause right now. I don't know, like, our house, is everything going to drop? Are we going to have a war? Are we going to have something happen within the government to where
I
economy
do.
gets
And I
hit?
think those uncertainties cause a lot of people
To panic and
to stall.
pause.
They do. I also notice every time the interest rate goes up, we have about 3 weeks of it sort of getting quieter. And I always tell buyers, I'm like, this is your turn. Like, let's get out there. You don't have as much competition. You don't. There are still houses on the market. Let's go and make an offer, right? But then the market kind of picks back up. Like people sort of adjust. I think humanity is very resilient. And so I think people adjust and adapt to whatever those changes are. So I think that we'll continue to have what can I say? We'll continue to buy and sell homes. I don't know that we're going to have as robust of a market as we've had over the past couple of years, but I think we'll get to a place where it will be healthier.
Do you think certain groups of agents will kind of fall off because?
I do. I think there's already been a lot of agents that have fallen off. And really, I mean, it's sad to see a lot of them go. There's also some of them that
Shouldn't have
probably
been there in the first
shouldn't have been
place.
there to begin with. Thank you. They shouldn't have been there to begin with. And I think got in during those couple of years and said, oh my gosh, this is like, this is a golden honey. I should get into this career, right? So for those folks to go, I think it's okay. But I know I even have some friends in the business who, if you're selling 3 houses, 4 houses a year, you're not paying your own mortgage. Right? So I do think that we're going to end up with a smaller group of agents.
Just things are shifting, but I think that is part of owning your own business. What's some of the hardest things for you I was going to say besides marketing, but I don't know if marketing was a hard thing for you. But like, what are some of the hardest things for you in managing and owning your own business as an agent?
Okay, so I would say probably the hardest thing is time management
Mm.
for me. And part of that is because, like, when I go all in, I go all in. And I also like to be available and I want to be flexible and I want my clients to be able to reach me no matter what time of day it is, right? And it's funny. So when I first went into real estate, and maybe we'll go there in this conversation and talk about that, but I really thought, oh, real estate's going to be flexible.
Yeah.
I had 4 children. I had one in high school, one in middle, one in kindergarten, and one in preschool. So I had 4 different schedules that I was managing, right? And I thought, there is no way I can go back to corporate America. There is no way I can go back to that structured schedule because, of course, we weren't working from home 8 years ago, right? So to have to go into the office every day and how am I going to manage just even getting kids to school and home from school? And so real estate's going to be flexible. It's really not flexible.
Yeah. I'll say that the eye flutter there was.
Yeah, it's really not flexible. It's it's a lot of evenings.
Yeah.
It's a lot of weekends.
Yeah.
It's because you need to be available when your clients are available, and they're not always available during the workday. So for me, I think it's trying to always find that balance between how do I make sure that I continue to be a really good mom, that I continue to be a good wife, a good daughter, a sister, a friend, all those things, and still have this very robust business, right? And so, I play around at times with, oh, should I have a team? And then I think, no, I actually think that will take more time for me because
it'll switch your roles too, right?
It would switch my role. I think I need to outsource this piece or that piece. So I always am kind of looking at ways that I can build efficiencies into the business. But I would say personally, that's what I struggle with.
Time management and just that balance.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I think that's like a lot of small business owners or just business owners in general is managing that time because we all have the same amount of time in a day.
Yes.
But there's some people that are the Elon Musks of the world, and then there are some people that, are just struggling to like catch the bus in the morning to get to their
You're right.
job.
It's funny, my dad and I had this conversation about, a lifestyle business versus a really successful business. And not that a lifestyle business can't be successful. Well, we were
successful in the
right. It's successful in terms of having a lifestyle. So we were talking about a particular restaurant. They live in New Hampshire, and there's a wonderful restaurant, but it's closed on Sundays and Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, right? So it's basically open Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah. And so, but that's okay because they've been able to create a lifestyle that fits how much they want to work or how often they want to work or what it is that they want to put out there, right? Yeah. And so I think, and that's okay. And that's okay. And if you make that decision, that's good, right? But then if you're over here and you go, yeah, but no, I want to be super successful and I want to help a lot of families and I want to help a lot of people and I want to continue to grow my business, then I think you really are struggling with how do you keep balance and have that success at the same time.
Yeah, and I think a big thing for me as I'm trying to think through, because I was about to say it's really not possible at certain limits, but then I was like, no, anything is possible if you've got a good mentor or coach who can show you, because a lot of these, whether it's marketing, whether it's time management, different sales aspects of your business, like it doesn't come intuitively. Like you could figure it out by stumbling along the way. But for the most part, you don't really know. You just keep doing what's currently working. Yeah. But sometimes that just means you're plateauing. Yes. Until somebody comes in and says like, hey, actually, you don't have to do it this way. You don't have to do the in-person meetings every single week. That's something recently that we've changed. Once a month, you do the in-person meetings. The other 3 weeks, you can do it virtually. Well, that now saves, I know me personally, so many hours per month that I'm not having to drive over here, drive back. You're right. Our meetings go from 45-minute meetings to like 2-hour meetings, because we're just chit-chatting.
Because you're here in person, you do. It does.
So it's just like little tricks like that. Somebody else, sometimes you'll hear something or you'll have an actual paid coach that just gives you.
And that's even like when I was talking about video, right? Yeah. I used to literally every Wednesday, every Saturday go and record a video. And now it's like, and then I would start to dread it. I'd be like,
it's date night Wednesday.
Let me get the video done first, right? Let me go ahead and do that first. So you do. So now I'm like, okay, I batch it. So you're right. You're always looking for ways that you can be more efficient or more effective. I think the other challenge, especially in real estate, is trying to figure out who is your client, who is your target
So it's not anybody,
audience.
everyone who wants to buy or sell a home.
It's not everybody who wants to buy or sell a home. And actually, that's another area I struggle in probably is boundaries. Is like, when do you say, you know what, this probably isn't the right match. This isn't a good fit. And letting that client go.
I will say you are one of the very few agents that is saying that not everyone, literally, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Maybe there might be 2 other people, but everybody else I've ever talked to, and I've talked to a lot of agents, they say anyone and everyone who wants to buy or sell a home. And if I'm not coaching them, I'll say, okay, might want to rethink that, but
no, you're right. So I know I've said about my dad before. My dad's had a huge influence on me in my life and my business. And he said to me, he was in sales his whole life, and he said, Kelly, when you can identify those people who you should not be working with, you are actually successful in business at that point.
That's such a great point.
Because it's like, if you have all these other clients over here, why allow that one person to just be a time drain, be like the time vampire, right? Which some people can be.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think it's identifying that. So, but in terms of like being in real estate, you come into this business and you're like, okay, I can learn the forms. I can understand real estate law, right? I can figure out even the marketing piece of it. But if you don't have clients, you are not going to be successful, which is probably why a lot of agents say anybody who wants to buy or sell a house is going to be my client, right? Because that's the way.
None,
right. If you have none, then you're no longer in real estate. So I think it's trying to sort of hone in on who becomes your target audience. And I've over time morphed from thinking, okay, I want to, I'm going to cast my whole net for Northern Virginia. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, I'm just going to narrow in on Brambleton. Well, no, maybe I'm going to, right. So I've like been sort of all over the board, but what I've really come to is more of a piece of like, primarily, let's say Loudoun County, right? And that's not that I don't do some in Fairfax or some in Gainesville, kind of on the fringe of Loudoun County. But I think that one of the things that makes you successful in real estate is really understanding your community and being able to add value to that buyer or to that seller, right? And the only way you can do that is having deep knowledge in a geographic area. And you can't have deep knowledge of all of Northern Virginia. And so being able to sort of hone that in, and then being able to say, okay, so how do I connect with those people? How do I market to those people? And I think, a lot of that is being present in the community. I laugh like when people see my videos, I walk into a party and they'll say, oh my God, I see you everywhere. And I think to myself, and I'm like, you see me everywhere on social media, but actually I am everywhere. I mean, that's why you see me everywhere, right? The other day I was going into Tarbenders because I was doing a video for Tarbenders, and I walk in and this gentleman stands up and he goes, oh my gosh, in person, like it's really you? And I started laughing. He has seen me on social media. He feels like we have a friendship, like we have a direct connection, and we do. But it was one that was,
one-sided.
Yeah. I was like, hey, so, but you have to be present in your community. You have to be present in front of your clients.
And I love that story because, I started getting into the video marketing game like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So before Tom Ferry blew up on it, before I was doing local classes here.
I came to some of your classes. Yes. I still have some of your workbooks. I do.
And that was a story that I told at all of those workshops that's why I got really big into it, because as a photographer, people would come up. I was doing lots of video marketing, and they would say like, oh my gosh, Aaliyah, how's your kids doing? Oh my gosh, Layla's getting so big. And, congratulations, Khalil looks so... I'm sitting here like, these people know so much about my life.
Yes.
All from video content, video marketing. And they come in hugging me.
Because they feel they know you. And they do. I mean, I think if you're doing a good job at video marketing, you are showing your authentic self. You are showing your real person, right? Yeah. Like I see a lot of people, use all sorts of filters and crazy things, and you wouldn't even know it was the same person when you saw them in person. And I try to stay away from all of that, right? Because I'm like, okay, this is who I am. This is the age I'm at. This is where I am in life, right? Yeah. So that you can really connect with people. So you obviously were doing that very well.
But I'm saying like that's a great way, like for somebody who doesn't want to do video, I'm like, listen, you're actually doing the other person a favor and you a favor with your business favor by doing that, because when they see you for the first time, there isn't that awkward feeling of, do I know them? I don't feel comfortable yet. Give them the ability to trust you, to feel comfortable, to have a really good first experience with you because you already got through that. Or the opposite end, if there's something about you they don't like the way you speak, they don't like the way you look, they don't like the way you carry yourself, then you also save that person.
You are right.
From even, right?
They've self-selected out.
Yes.
Which is actually better.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. And it does. It is amazing how much more quickly you can start to focus on the business piece of it because you already know each other,
Yes.
or they know you at least.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll go out and, I will look at the photos that potential clients post, or, videos that they post, and someone will say, oh, are you creeping? No, I'm not creeping on them. I'm trying to get to know them just like they know me, right?
Yeah.
Because the more I get to know them, the more I can help them through the process of buying or selling a home.
Yeah.
And so I think social media has opened that up for all of us to do that so much more quickly.
Do you ever say something and it catches them off?
No, I haven't done that yet, but
so I only see 2 kids. Where's the third?
Oh, where's the other one?
I'm like, wait a second, I didn't tell you.
How do you know so much about me?
Well, I've done that before where I've said something to a perfect stranger. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, Kelly, I saw you over at Tarbender's, and it's like, wait, what? And I'm like, oh wait, that was social media crap.
Oops.
Yeah. Because you see people out and about, and you're like, I know I've seen that person.
Yeah.
I feel like I know them.
Yes, right? That does happen. When you go, why do we know each other?
Yeah.
We don't. So we know each other online. Yeah, it's true.
So it brings us together, but sometimes you gotta be careful about that.
You do.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, looking for your career outside of video marketing, what's the next thing for you in terms of how you're going to continue growing? How you're going to keep navigating the world of real estate in Northern Virginia, or maybe beyond? What's on Kelly's?
What's on my sort of goal list?
Yes.
My aspiration list. So I had this crazy, you're going to laugh. I said this so I participated in a training session yesterday, and the person leading it said that one of the people he had been working with had recently been asked to be on HGTV or be on a show where they were talking about real estate in the local area. And I got off that call and I was like, yes, that's what I want to do. I want to be asked to help lead something about Loudoun County and real estate in Loudoun County. So that all of a sudden has become sort of a goal for me. And I shared it with my son last night, and he goes, oh, Mom, he goes, I don't understand, all this, wannabe fame. It has nothing to do with wanting to be famous. It has to do with almost feeling like, okay, I've arrived. I've made it.
Yes.
I'm an expert in not only real estate, but in real estate in Loudoun County, right? And I can help to provide and disperse that information to so many other people around me. So I don't know that will ever happen, but it is kind of the little shiny star out there.
Make it happen, right? Don't wait for things to happen. Yeah. Once I start getting on something, like creating your own show, or I wanted to do a podcast for a long time. I would kind of dabble in it and then stop dabbling in it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my own show.
And do it.
Make sure I've got a team around me to stay consistent, and then just go. And I'm pretty sure we've got enough episodes right now that's going to take us all the way through, the end of December? Wow-ish. So, and then we've got 30 to 40 more scheduled over the next few weeks. So that's going to take us into January. Don't wait for things to happen. Figure out a plan and make it happen for yourself, because sometimes it might be a small opportunity. It might not be HGTV. Right? But it might be your own form, and then you're going to be seen and viewed by another series, whether it's HGTV or somebody else, and be like, hey, she'd be a perfect fit for whatever.
Yes. Okay. Which I'm going to.
You're doing that now.
I'm going to.
You're doing videos now, but
but you're right. You kind of have to almost manifest what you want it to be and then go for it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, I'm going to do that. I'll keep you posted.
Yes, I was going to say,
okay, I will.
In terms of what piece of advice would you give to small business owners out there, just to kind of wrap things up, what advice would you give them as they're trying to build their business in today's economy? I'll just leave it there, period.
Okay. So, real quick, I actually grew up in a small business, which I think is part of the reason that I have such a calling towards owning my own business.
Tell me about it.
And so I learned so much through that experience. So my parents, when I was 10 years old, opened up a miniature golf course.
I love it. Where is that?
So not like what you would think of as your typical small business. It was in Pittsburgh. So I grew up in Pittsburgh, but I grew up in a really small steel town called McKeesport, and the neighborhood right next to it was White Oak. And so it was at like the base of a shopping center, and they built this beautiful golf course. And I can remember us going and like picking out fiberglass animals and all the things that were going to be. And every hole was named after one of our different family members. So we had like this gorilla that was gorgeous, George, because I had an Uncle George, right? And so it was really fun to put all that together.
What was the Kelly?
So, well, the whole golf course was called K&K Miniature Golf for Kelly and Carrie. So for my sister and I. And so I was really a part of that business from 10 up to probably like 22 when I graduated from college. And it taught me so much about all the different things you have to do to be successful. And really a lot of it comes down to hard work. It comes down to, every day showing up. We'd close the golf course and open in April. Well, it was at the bottom of the shopping center, and all the garbage all winter long, because people used to litter. I don't know why I don't see as much litter anymore, but I felt like people always would roll down into this golf course, and we had all of these beds that were lined with rocks. Mm-hmm. So my sister, my dad, and I, and my mom, on the weekends, we'd be pulling all those rocks out, cleaning out the sludge, putting the rocks back in, right? Yeah. It was hard work. I was 10, 11 years old. It was freezing cold. Our big outing would be to go to Dairy Queen for lunch, right? And get something to eat. But then it was not only about that. It came down to about customer service and really making sure that you were delivering a consistent product to your customers, right? And so we used to watch a lot of videos on Disney and on the Disney way of doing business, and that you're kind of on stage, and that if you had a headache or you weren't feeling good, you didn't greet a customer by like, how are you today? You had to be, engaging
stage
with them. Yeah. And then, you went in the back room and you had your moment to sit down and be off stage, right? And feel bad. But so really staying focused on that whole level of customer service and delivering a high level of customer service. It was also about understanding what worked and what didn't work, So for us, from a marketing standpoint, we used to go and put coupons on all of the windshields of cars for $1 off a game of golf. And we would be at every local fair. We would be at every packed parking lot on a weekend, putting those coupons on people's windows, right? And then we were able to track it and see who brought those coupons in. And we'd put like a little code on the back so we knew where we had actually distributed those coupons. And I think a lot of those things kind of feed into the real estate business and into any small business, right? Which is understanding your client base, understanding what a high level of customer service is, or whatever level of customer service you're going to deliver, being consistent across the board, hard work, and then measuring what's working and what's not working. And if it's not working, not being afraid to say, hey, I'm not going to do this anymore. Like I used to go and set up a little table at the elementary school for our carnival, and I would have a table there. And that wasn't bringing me any business, right? And I was like, okay, that's not something I want to continue to repeat, right? But I'm going to be at the Brambleton Neighborhood Day, like I just was, with my things, because that gave me a great chance to meet a lot of people. So I think it's kind of...
do live interviews, asking them about Brambleton.
Oh, that'd be a good idea.
What's your favorite?
What's your favorite thing in Brambleton? What's your favorite thing to do?
Because then they're going to want to tune in, and they're going to want to go find you on social media, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's me, that's my cousin, that's my...
Okay, I'm going to do that. I should do that the neighborhood day. Okay, next year, I'm going to incorporate that in. Okay, well, so that's like great advice, right? It's like taking and saying, okay, when you're opening up a small business, you can't do all the things all at once. But as you get those things down, and now you can operate at a level of consistency. So what am I going to do to make it better or different?
1% better.
Yeah, just a little bit better every time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. So start a miniature golf when you're 10 years old.
Okay, it paid for me to go to college. I mean, it
really?
literally
oh my gosh.
threw off enough money. I went to Northwestern, which was not inexpensive, and it paid for me to go to school.
Amazing.
And my sister.
That's amazing.
So it really was profitable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt. Because, wait, is it a touristy area or no?
Not really, no. But you know what? It became the place to be. It became the location to go, right? And so it was very close to a movie theater. So people would go see a movie, come down and golf. And then we used to run birthday parties.
Okay.
And so it was the place to have your kid's birthday party.
I love it.
And then we had a cousin who would bake the cakes, and she now has a huge bakery in that neighborhood, which
So you guys
is
are
really
all
neat.
entrepreneurs now.
Yes.
All because mom and dad started K&K.
Yeah. It's real, really, because it
But
really did teach
built
you.
a team of entrepreneurs.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that was their goal. I think
Yeah.
my parents are masterful. They were like, we're going to teach our children business at a really early age. And the expectations were high.
Yeah. And so they were.
We were going to be successful. That was the expectation.
I love
We were
it.
gonna
They're
be
like,
successful.
we've got our team of
Yeah.
workers right here.
Okay, I have a funny story about that. 2 or 3 years ago, my parents said, Kelly and Kara, we have dinner arranged for you and your husbands at this really beautiful restaurant in New Hampshire. And it's just for the 4 of you to get to spend time together. And so we walk on into the restaurant, and sitting at the table are my sisters and my chairs. We had these like golf chairs that they were green. Our colors were green and white. My parents had cleaned them up. They had our names on them. They had literally had them sitting at the table and with letters that they had written to us saying, you know, we now look back and think maybe we violated every child labor law known to mankind, given the number of hours that we had you girls work. But we want to let you know what a special moment that was for us as a family, and to watch that business grow and how much you girls contributed. And we just want to say thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that was
amazing.
really, it's really touching.
Here's my last question to you. Are you doing the same for your kids?
Okay, so no, not as successfully. I don't know that I'm doing it as successfully. We've played with buying a sweet frog business. We've actually played with buying a vending business. We've considered a couple of different things that would allow us to do, and really a miniature golf course would be great in this area. We could really benefit from that, right? I do find ways to bring them into my real estate business. Yeah. So in that way I have, like that neighborhood day, I gave away grocery bags and I put magnets inside with all important information. I had to tie little ribbons. And so my youngest son, Keaton, must have put together, 150 bags for me to take, right? And he gets paid to do that, just like I got paid to work at the golf course. Yeah. And so I do try to find things for them to do. But I don't.
Plus, they probably turn us into the child labor law agencies.
Oh, they probably would at this point. Yeah, you probably couldn't get away with what my parents could get away with a long time ago.
That was such a beautiful story. No, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And thank you so much for being here on this podcast.
Thank you for having me. You talk about small businesses that have been successful and watching somebody just continue to blossom and grow. Aaliyah, you are that person. And I have had such admiration for you from the very first time I came in here for a headshot for Century 21 Redwood. And I just, I watch you continue to add and diversify, but yet stay very true to your business model. And I think you're an inspiration for so many of us.
And thank you for sending me Stephanie.
Thank you.
I'll always be grateful for that.
You're welcome. She's a gem. Yes. She is a gem. Yeah, I agree.
Thank you.
You're welcome.